Sometimes I'm walking with my daughter, I'm talking to my daughter, I'm looking at her, I'm pushing her and stole her, and sometimes I pick her up and I just stare at her and I realize my only job in life is to keep her off the pole. Keep my baby off the pole. I mean, they don't grade fathers, but if your daughter's a stripper, you up.
Okay, Steve, this is what we in the business call the pole. Start the music! So what you do is, you rotate your ass a lot, the customers love that. Then you grab the pole and slide up and down. Oh, like a fireman? That's right.
Is a sensual fitness craze that develops strength and endurance. What was once an activity relegated to the dark confines of strip clubs has become so popular among women.
As exercise studios go, Krisha Katzen's always kept hers a bit of a secret.
It's kind of like Fight Club for women.
Stand on this foot. Pull yourself up. There you go.
My name is Eleanor, and there are moments when you look in the mirror and the only thing you can see are those negative things about yourself. Your chotch, your this, your that. So what I want us to do is look in that mirror and have a lot of self-love.
My name is Eleanor Kuntz, and I'm a recent graduate of UGA. I just finished my PhD in genetics, and I spend my days working in a lab, working on a little tiny medicinal plant. I started pole dancing about a year ago, just as an offshoot of other aerial arts. I didn't have any hesitations about pole dancing before I started, but then I always saw it as a very personal form of self-expression, and never really planned to do it in a performance arena, and so there was no real reservations when I began.
So no negative preconceived notions or anything?
I mean, not really. I grew up in Southern California, and then spent a lot of time in Vegas as a young child, and so I think the art and the artistry and the dance component always was much more prevalent in my worldview than sort of the seedy, you know, gateway into other illicit activities that is also, you know, associated with this art form. But I've always had kind of a different view of that, and just from my exposure, I guess.
How do your parents feel about it?
My mom is taking classes.
Taking your classes?
Yes, my mom is. Well, she's taking a class from Carlin.
Okay.
The matriarch of the studio.
Is she, how's her progress so far?
Well, she's a little older, so it's very hard on her wrists. So she, she's almost 70.
Right.
So,
oh, wow.
But she had a great time,
okay.
You know? So, I mean, it's something she would do again, but she doesn't fit into her schedule, unfortunately.
Okay.
But no, it's definitely, I think it's good for almost anybody. If they, if they want to do it.
When you came in the area, and every shadow filled up with doubt. I don't know who you think
the thing that I enjoy the most about pole dancing is the challenge of it. The fact that you can really push yourself physically in a way where I think it's very hard to do that in other arenas. In a way where you just want to go to the gym or other sort of art, dance, and art forms.
My name is Woodruff. I started pole dancing a year and a half ago, and I came to the pole as another aerial apparatus. So before getting on pole, I was a trapeze artist for 9 years and worked on all sorts of aerial equipment. So it was an easy transition from trapeze to the pole. I have come across some negative reactions, but for every negative reaction there is a positive reaction. As the children's director for another nonprofit, I had a great number of hesitations as coming in and learning pole dance because of the social connotations. I think that any sort of dance is sexy, it's beautiful, the human form, but there is this social, norm against pole dancing, that it is dirty or that it is socially inappropriate or done late night and you're naked. Mm-hmm. So I've been very careful with my image out on the pole, that I'm not showing more skin than I have to, and that my movements are more of a classic dance rather. The best part of pole dancing is the challenge. I don't like to put my feet on the floor, so I want to climb the pole all the way to the top and spin as fast as I can and then push my body away from the pole. I want great big shapes with as little contact with apparatus as possible. And I love that it's hard. I love that it hurts. It's quite a challenge that has stretched me, both my physical endurance and my mental ability to process new tricks and combine them. And it's just been an amazing experience. I do see changes in my students, especially the students that have been taking for 5 or 6 months. Not only are they stronger and more flexible, their confidence changes. They come through the door and they roll their shoulders back and they stand up, and they say that it's carried over into other parts of their lives where they are more confident. They know that they can walk into a room and stand up straight and ask for something and get it. And they've also become comfortable with their body. Everyone's got that piece on their body that they don't love. And when we're dancing on the pole, our studio has mirrors on 3 walls. So you look at that part and realize that, hey, it might actually be okay, or it might help me stick on the pole better. So we're learning to love everything about our bodies.
I absolutely consider pole dancing a sport. And I think it's very interesting because they're actually petitioning the Olympics right now to try to get pole dancing as an Olympic sport. And I think that's going to be very interesting to watch, because I think that it will open the doors to a lot of interesting and different kinds of routines on the pole and different ways of approaching it. If you put it into that arena, you're going to pull a lot of different kinds of people, and you're going to pull a lot from the gymnastics community, which I think would be super interesting. There's definitely a growing global and national community. So the national community is definitely centered around competitions, and at this point it's a really healthy environment. It seems like it's very cooperative, which is, I think, not what I initially would have expected. And there's an absolutely growing international community, and the internet is of course helping, because you have amateurs, you know, posting things on the internet and like a lot of sharing and helping, and so they're using a lot of those sort of grassroots cyber technologies to grow a community, which is kind of nice.
Cool.
Not everyone wants to wiggle their hips, but you have the option of wiggling your hips. You have this option of really being sassy and sexy, or really being strong and powerhouse, and you can be anything in between, and that's really liberating, to be allowed to be sexy and strong. I think there's very few art forms that really allow you that in a really big way. You get it in ballet sometimes, but there's some ballets that are very sensuous and very sexy, but not in the sort of same way where you really are matching that strength and power. I think it's like Pele. Pele with pole dance. You know, like strong, like vibrant, like powerful woman. You know, that kind of like feeling definitely is